Welcome again. My name is Mati Zilahi, and I'm Content Partnerships Manager at GetResponse. And I'm joined here today by Brian Minnick, CEO of ZeroBounce. And today's topic is how you can keep your email list clean and increase your sales in 2023. Now, a lot of email marketers face problems and challenges when they send out email campaigns. And one of these biggest challenges is making sure that the emails land in the inbox folder and that deliverability rates are high enough. So that this is why we are excited to share with you the best practices we have developed to improve the email deliverability. During the webinar, we will be sharing our knowledge on how to effectively clean and validate your email list to improve your email deliverability and increase your open and click-through rates. We'll also show you how to identify and remove invalid and bounced email addresses, as well as how to effectively segment your list to reach the right people at the right time. Brian will share his expert insights on email validation and how he can help you reaching the inbox. The webinar will be around 1 hour long, and as I mentioned before, we will share the recording with everyone after the event has concluded. During the event, feel free to ask away in chat, and we will try our best to answer all of your questions at the end of the webinar. Well, that's it for me, for starters. Take it away, Brian.
Sure. So welcome, everybody. I just want to give a quick introduction on myself and thank everyone for joining today. I'm Brian Minnick. I'm the Chief Operating Officer of ZeroBounce, as Mate has mentioned. Excited to share some good insight with you today and also get a feeling to see where you're at and get some feedback as well. And so my background is about 15 plus years in the marketing and technology space. I started as a software developer and absolutely loved marketing and technology and have moved into operations within tech companies, and it's been a very great spot. I've been in emails my entire life, and it's definitely been something that I have found to be incredibly resourceful, continuously evolving, and no matter what anyone is telling me, I disagree it's going away anytime soon. So, thanks again for everyone joining today. And we're going to go ahead and kick it off with a poll. And so I wanted to see when the last time anyone has cleaned their email list. And so if you have cleaned your email list in the last 30 days, or if you've cleaned it in the last 3 months or 6 months, maybe it's in the last year, or maybe you've never done it at all. Let's give just 30, 45 seconds or so. See how things are going. So far, majority, no one's cleaned. Someone less than 30 days. Maybe they work at ZeroBounce. I'm not sure. We'll see. So it's definitely seemed like, okay, so a couple people have done it in the last, let's say 6 months or less, a couple in less than a year. Most of you have never done it before. Good. I mean, I'm glad to actually hear this, so I can give you, I think I'm going to give you some really valuable content today as well. Give it another 10 seconds. Wow, the majority, definitely the majority. Okay, great. So let's go ahead and go back to the slides and let's go and do it. So most of you have never cleaned your email list. Perfect. Today's gonna be incredibly educational for you, and I hope that you get some good insight, and feel free to ask questions at the end. So why do you want to clean your email list, and why do email lists go bad? This is something that people are really just not, I think they're conscious of it, but I don't know how much they're paying close attention to the impact of it. And so email lists going bad can cause a lot of different issues for you. And some of the reasons they would go bad, businesses are closing, people are changing jobs. I'm in the tech world. I don't know where everyone is right now and what your industry is, but in the tech world, some of the largest companies in the world have let off over 100,000 people, I think in 5 companies in the last 15 days, I think it's been, or 30 days. These emails are now poof, they no longer work. They're not good anymore. So especially in the B2B space, we have to pay attention to churn of people, churn of jobs. A lot of people moved jobs in the last 2-3 years with the pandemic. And so if you have data that you had for a long time, we have to take a look at that and make sure that the data that you're using is really good. There's lots of also bad actors, and I really hate to talk about this, but it's something we all have to be aware of. We have seen malicious attacks towards websites from either competitors or bots, and they'll go ahead and actually submit bad email addresses into your database. They can easily do that, right? So if you are not using double opt-in forms or things of this nature, if it's just text box, give me your email, and you allow anyone to put an email in there, you could be open to getting a spam trap. A spam trap is a really bad email address that you don't want to have on your list. It shouldn't be there in the first place. They're commonly found in purchase lists. And if you send an email to them, they will go right to the spam folder and immediately start to blacklist your domain and your IP. Fake emails can also go in as well. And so during the holidays, guys, one thing for everyone to know, there's a lot of bad data coming into these systems because people don't always want all your email marketing. We have to just acknowledge that. And so don't fight against it, go with it. If they want to purchase but don't want to give you their right email, it's okay. They'll probably like your product, but there's a lot of disposable or burner emails or self-destructing emails in 24 hours, 10 minutes, whatever it might be. You want to get those out of your database, and a company like ZeroBounce, we're able to help detect those and get them out. So these are reasons, these are just some reasons why email lists and data can go bad. Why you really want to care is because you have to focus on your sending reputation and the deliverability. A question I always love to ask is, do you understand the difference between email delivered and email deliverability? And it's just a few letters that change that, but the sentence and the statement is much different. So delivered is just email was sent, right? Poof, gone. It went somewhere. Um, Deliverability means it landed in the inbox where everyone is. And so this is a quality focus, not a quantity focus. Deliver is just a quantity. Deliverability is quality. So you want to make sure that your emails are not going into the spam box, and bounce rates that are high will give you issues here. So anything over 2% bounce rates will give you lots of issues. If you're hitting spam traps, which are kind of some of these emails, which especially if people are doing any purchase lists, or it's not even just purchase lists. We have a really great example in the real world. JP Morgan just purchased a massive company, 4 million emails in there, and I think it was 70% of the data was completely garbage. And they didn't know this until after the fact. They could have easily spotted that. You want to make sure you don't have these type of emails in your list, and also pay attention to who's not engaging into your campaigns, because eventually you want to maybe move those into a slower bucket or into another bucket that says something like, hey, what did we do wrong? You don't open, you don't need, and eventually if they're still gone, remove them. Deliverability and inboxing is a percentage game and a momentum game. So you want people to be opening, forwarding, clicking. And if you have a smaller audience, but a more engaged audience, the deliverability can increase from that. So as we continue, we have lots of use cases. Gene's one of a great customer of ours. He came to us screaming, "Oh my God, I got kicked off my ESP." He had a 12% bounce rate. This is an email list that he acquired naturally through his website, through his platform, and he never cleaned it before. He went to an ESP, and it just absolutely shut him down. They kicked him off. Bounce rate. No one likes high bounce rates. Nobody. And this is going from the ESP to the service providers that provide the email accounts to everybody. Nobody likes bounces because it causes a lot of disruption, and you look like a spammer because you shouldn't have a high bounce rate if you have a very good list. So Gene came to us. He went ahead and cleaned everything up. His results came back and said he immediately got reinstated on his account, and he said ever since then he got rid of all of his kind of bot signups and fake signups, and now he's only sent it to valid emails. He's just question is ESP email service provider. These are companies like GetResponse, Mailchimp, Constant Contact, any of the large providers. And so they will kick you off if you have a very high bounce rate, and moving is a big problem as well. So you want to be on good terms with your ESP or your sending provider. Is very important. So we help Gene with that, and it's just a nice case study that I like to talk about. But verifying your email list, but there's a lot of things you can do. So when we talk about validation and verifying your email list, what we do is actually go into you would send us an email list. We would take each email address and physically connect to that server and see if the email is existing or not. So we basically send an email without sending the email. So no customer of yours would ever know you used the service. But we check to see, and we basically knock on the door to see if the email is a valid email. It's really important, and it really helps your sending reputation. Some other things you can do, and we'll get into segmenting later, but we have lots of tools as well that can help you segment. So there's things you can score your email list. We have some activity data that you can get into, and we provide a few tools as well that I think really complement, the GetResponse platform as well, which is trying to help with the deliverability. These are things like monitoring your IP address and your domain that you're sending from. You can have a blacklist monitor on the email address and the domain that you're sending from. If you get hit with a blacklist, you want to get yourself off of that immediately, because it'll immediately blacklist. It'll put everything into it'll put everything into a spam folder or even not delivered. So you want to make sure you get that stuff off, and monitor. So there's a lot of things you can do here. So copy hackers, Joanna is a great person of ours as well. Another kind of success story that we have, and we have thousands of these. We have over 200,000. We have over 200,000 people on our platform and gaining strongly every single day, doing a ton of validation. And so we've really helped a lot of people that have gotten themselves into trouble. I do see a lot of good questions, and I think we'll take some of these at the end. But I do see them, and it'll definitely we'll address them. But email is the core of most people's businesses. It's the absolute cheapest way to get in front of your customer. It is a great way to retain your customer. It is a great way to ask for referrals, ask for reviews. The list continues, and it's things that you don't even really have to pay that much money for once you have the email and it's good. So you definitely want to be focusing on your email and make sure you have a nice, healthy list, and make sure that all this stuff is in a really good in a good place. So, what else can affect your email deliverability? There's quite a few things. We can talk about things like subject lines. We have different ways that obviously you got to take a minute and just make sure you don't look like the ones that are in your spam box. I actually like to use that example a lot. If you want to know what not to do, go look in your spam box. Don't use these keywords. Don't use all the caps, the punctuations. You have to be very careful with using commonly associated spam words, and free is one of them. So you got to be very careful with this type of stuff. Pay attention to the way that you're describing things, because I know when I sent my first marketing campaign, all I could think about was like, did they see this point? No, bold it, add the exclamation points, add the emojis, add everything, right? And you have to realize that your excitement does not translate into their excitement. Your excitement can translate into spam filters going, whoa, 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 hold on here, take it easy. You're doing a little too much here. And so you want to make sure you're putting these things in and check stuff. And so definitely, lots too many images, or the whole thing being an image, can be some different things. And what you want to also be paying attention to is the ability for them to opt out of your list or to unsubscribe. So commonly I've seen, and not so much anymore, but which I'm very thankful for actually, but in the past I've seen people try to bury that unsubscribe. I mean, just hold the return key until you can't anymore and it's so far down. So legally you're okay, but you don't want to have that stuff. And the reason behind it is also it's actually engagement. And so if someone unsubscribes, the world outside of you sees this as a click. And so it sees that, oh, they opened the email, right? Because they can't unsubscribe unless they open. They opened the email, they clicked unsubscribe. They see an open and a click. And it's not a bad thing. What is very bad, and it's the complete inverse of when someone can't find the unsubscribe link, is the hit report spam. Report spam is, I'm trying to think of the proper way to say this here without getting too aggressive. It is basically one of the worst things that can happen to your email campaign. And so forcing people to either do that as a way to get out, it's not a good way to think about things. You don't want people marking you as spam. That starts to talk to the whole network of email providers. So for example, if you send something to a Gmail account and he marks you as spam, more of these come in, Gmail starts to go, whoa, wait a minute here. Who is this? Who's this sender? Who's the reputation? And they start degrading you. And then ultimately they're going to say, no, he's a spammer. Out. We've actually even seen emails that have not been read. We've seen them move out of inbox into spam based on the rest of the results that are happening on their platform. So we're not in email of 2002 and 1998. Just as much as you can, as quick as you can, do what you can. You have to be more strategic. Think of it as ads. You have to put the right content in front of people, and you want to make sure that you're putting things that are engaging to the people. So too many images. We talked about that one. Spammy and scammy copy. I think these are kind of given. One of the things that's actually pretty recent is the link shorteners. So I know a lot of people like to use these, the Bitly, the GOO.gl, and they use these URL shorteners. They want to track clicks that way. Don't use those. A lot of those are actually now automatically going into the spam folder. Your ESP and GetResponse, everyone is going to rewrite your URL so that they can show you the clicks and the tracking. So you don't need to do this twice, which actually I do still see a lot. You want to get those out. Some of them we've even heard now are just automatic right to the spam folder because scammers are using these ways of links to mask the domain that link really attaches to. And so, the providers are just taking this step to go, you know what? Let's not deal with this. Attachments, most likely you're not using them, but if maybe you're doing B2B, cold emailing, things like that, stay away from attachments until you get some engagement. So that's some more stuff that you can happen here. GetResponse, they have a really awesome automated spam check on their built into the platform. So when you go to send, you'll see something like a spam check, and it's automated through their platform and says you're good to go. They're going to scan your content, your images, and your links and see if there's any red flags. I think that's a very, very good, quick way to know generally where you are. Obviously, if you have an issue, you want to fix it before you send anything out. However, I don't think that's enough. And there's more stuff that we can do. So ZeroBounce has created a inbox placement tester that I think complements this really well, because you don't need to run a test if your automated spam check is telling you it's bad. Fix that first, then let's go to the other test. But what ZeroBounce is doing is we've created seed accounts in lots of the popular email accounts such as AOL, Gmail, Yahoo, and there's international ones here as well. There's some in Germany and others, where we give you the seed accounts and you send your email to us, and we will give you a return back if it went to the inbox folder or the spam folder or was blocked or not delivered. So this is a real life test towards where did it actually place. And one more thing, which I'm sure a lot of people are doing, including ZeroBounce, when we send our emails, you probably have a test list, right? 3 people, someone on the marketing team, your friend, brother, sister, whatever, right? If their email was ever in spam and you moved it to not spam, obviously that's a good thing, but you cannot rely on that test result to tell you what's going to happen in the big world when you go to send your email. So you definitely want to have something kind of neutral, not something that you're constantly sending that someone's managing to, that will give you more real life results to what might happen. So if something's in the spam folder, you definitely want to make sure that you fix that before you hit the campaign, before you hit send. These few extra steps, while it might take you a minute or two, if you bake that into your process, your results will be much better. Because again, quality over quantity, and you guys have to always think like this when you're talking about email. I don't care whatever your email database size is, if half of it's in the spam folder, or all of it's in the spam folder, it's a waste of your time. I'd rather see much more of that go into the inbox folder, and that's when you see the campaign results, and that's when you start to understand and see what everyone else is talking about. And so you got to get into the inbox. It's incredibly, incredibly important. So we provide some tools that help, and GetResponse does a great job also doing automated spam check on the campaign. So another one is kind of the reputation, the authentication. This is another step that is kind of very important to your deliverability, and it can, if this is not set up properly, it can really reduce your chances of landing to the inbox. Constantly, I'm seeing people send emails from Gmail accounts, and they're just burning through them. Guys, it's a waste of your time. It's just an absolute waste of your time. You need a business domain. You need a good email address. You need to build on that email address, and you might have an issue with it. It's happened to me. We've sent something, we didn't do something right, and now it's blacklisted or it's banned or it's just not a good email. Start over. Go back to the drawing boards. This is a craft. This is not a just hit send. You want to craft what you can do. You want a good email address. When you're sending from cold IPs, meaning that IP address is not used to sending mail, that IP address is not recognized yet throughout the world in how it's kind of looking at the reputation. You want to build good reputation. You want to make sure you're not in the spam folder, and you want to make sure you're not on a blacklist. There's definitely, I know I saw a question, but just to talk about it, there's blacklist checkers. We have a free one on our website that you don't even need to register for. You can just type ZeroBounce blacklist checker. And then we also have a monitoring tool that you would need an account for. We would email you if something comes up where you did land onto a blacklist. The other ones would be like not being authenticated properly. So with RFC standards and having DKIM, DMARC, and SPF set up, we have an email address you can send one of your campaigns to. We will run an incredibly thorough analysis on that and see if you're having any issues. That would be on the left-hand side. So we're going to go through and check a whole bunch of stuff that, quite honestly, is even too technical for me. And so I've had to, any of these reports we give them to our mail admins, but there's really good stuff, and we're checking again for what the world we know and RFC standards says you have to be sending by. And so you want to definitely fix anything that's critical, and warnings you might or might not need to fix, and sometimes you can't. And then on the blacklist monitoring, these are things that, once again, when I mentioned that you can set up, you can toggle any particular blacklist, you can monitor domain, you can monitor IPv4 or IPv6, whatever it might be. And if something changes, either good or bad, we would go ahead and notify you about that. And so, these are some of the ways that will help you get into the inbox. ZeroBounce, what we heavily focus on is validation, but our mission and our goal is to help you get into the inbox. And that's more than just validating. Although validating is a very big piece, we also do a toolkit that helps you kind of monitor some of these other things that I've talked about. And so with that, that's a little bit about ZeroBounce, and I know there'll be some questions. I'll be happy to answer them towards the end, and I'm going to kick it over to you, Monte.
Thank you, Brian. So so far, Brian has talked about general best practices and how you can validate your emails, and also how you can make sure that your email is not manually flagged as spam. Now, here's something we need to talk about, is whether you should use a shared or dedicated IP address. An IP address in this context relates to the address of the email server that is used to send out your email campaigns. So we can differentiate between dedicated IP addresses and shared IP addresses. Dedicated IP address means that you are the only organization who is using that specific email server for sending out newsletters and email communications. And the shared IP address means that multiple organizations are using the same IP addresses, same email servers for their newsletters. Both have their pros and cons. Shared IP addresses are used by multiple senders, as I mentioned, and because of that, they have shared responsibility. What this means is that one sender is engaging in bad practices, and if one sender is like abusing the system and sending out spam or not receiving, sending out emails without getting permission, or not including unsubscribe links, or doing any of the bad practices that Brian mentioned, then it will hurt the reputation of all the other senders as well. But because these email servers have a long sending history, because a lot of people are using it, these are considered warm IP addresses. What it means is that email clients, like for example Gmail, are able to decide whether this sender or this email server is reputable or not. They have lower costs because the cost is shared between all of the users, but can have slower sending speeds because of the multiple organizations that are using it. And this is recommended for medium and smaller list sizes. I see a question in chat that what is a larger list sizing in this context? There is no like one size fits all answer to this question, but generally speaking, if you have more than like 100,000 subscribers, you should consider switching to a dedicated IP address, which is used by an individual sender. And the fact that only one organization is using this email server, it means that they have individual responsibility. So if they are engaging in bad practices, then they are the only one who will get hurt. These IP addresses are more difficult to set up because they usually start from zero. So these email servers don't have like a sending history. So they are considered cold and need to be warmed up before you can properly start sending out like larger campaigns with them. Because the cost is not shared, they have higher costs, but because you are the only organization that is using it, it has super fast sending speeds. I see a question in chat, how you can determine if you currently have a shared or dedicated IP address. Well, it depends on your ESP you are using. If you don't know if you have a dedicated IP address, you most likely are using a shared one. Because most commercially available solutions are shared IP addresses by default. So for example, GetResponse in all of our SMB plans, we use shared IP addresses. And we managed to keep a really high deliverability rate, above 99%, because we have our own in-house AI solution called Hydra that is able to spot bad spending practices and is able to spot bad actors before they can damage the reputation of the legitimate users. And we also have dedicated IP solutions in our Max plans. And because these come generally with a cold IP address, we have built-in warm-up solutions. This basically just means that we have a solution that helps you gradually scale up your email campaigns. Because if you just start sending out like hundreds of thousands of emails with a cold IP address, this is you will most likely land in the spam folders. So you will need to warm up the IP, but we have a solution for that. Another important question here, now that we are on the topic of questions, is whether you should use single or double opt-in. Brian mentioned this in passing, that usually double opt-ins are considered safer. But what do they mean? A single opt-in means that when someone just submits their email address via a form or a lead capture form, or they just sign up to your service, and they immediately get placed in your email list, that is single opt-in. Double opt-in, on the other hand, requires an extra step. After someone provides their email address, they get an automated email message, and they have to verify their identity by clicking on the verification link in this email. Now, because this is a two-step process and requires more effort from your subscribers, it means that double opt-in generally has lower subscribe rates. So if your only goal is to get a huge email list, then maybe double opt-in is not for you. Generally speaking, you can expect around 30% less subscribes if you are using double opt-in. But on the other hand, you can expect higher engagement rates, usually around 10% higher open rates and 50% higher click-through rates on your emails. Now, these numbers are averages of averages. So you should take these with a grain of salt, but the key takeaway here is that if you are using double opt-in, then you will have fewer subscribers, but they will be more engaged. And whether you should use double or single opt-in, it depends on you. It depends on the nature of your business, your individual goals. If you have the option, you can try experimenting with switching to double opt-in if you are using single opt-in right now, and see for yourself whether if it's worth it on the long run. The bottom line is that in most countries around the world, double opt-in is not required by law. So single opt-in is fine in most of the cases. Now, so far we talked about email deliverability and how you can avoid the dreaded spam folder. But we also need to talk about how you can increase your subscribers' engagement levels and how you can make sure that they don't unsubscribe from your emails. Now, I have a personal story about this. Before joining GetResponse as a content partnerships manager, I was working as an email marketer in various small startups. And one of these companies I worked for was a software as service business. And they were pretty successful. They had around like 150,000 active users, but 1/3 of their email list didn't receive any of our marketing communications and newsletters. And when I just joined them, my first task was to clean up their email lists and find out why these 50,000 people, are not receiving our emails. Well, the reason behind this was that they unsubscribed. And this absolutely shocked me, because why would so many people unsubscribe from a service's emails, what they actually use? So these were active users. And the reason was really simple. They were not segmenting their email communications. So they had one list of email addresses, one general main list with all the emails and contact information of all their users. And they were sending the same email communication to everyone. So like any given person in a week would receive like industry news, company news, weekly digest, promotions, updates about upcoming events, and it was just too much email for one person. So they couldn't do anything about it. They couldn't manage their preferences. So they just unsubscribed. And because we only use one list, when they clicked on the unsubscribe button, they unsubscribed from that one and only list. So they never received our emails again. The solution to this was super simple. We introduced multiple email lists and introduced consent fields on our lead capture forms. So when someone signed up for the service, they were actually able to select what kind of email communications they want to receive. They could select that whether they want to receive newsletters, whether they want to receive emails about promotions. And based on these consent fields, with automations, we place them on separate lists. So if someone subscribed for all of our email communications, they get put on all of our email lists. And if someone wanted to change their preferences and unsubscribe from a certain newsletter, when they clicked on unsubscribe, they were actually able to manage which list they want to unsubscribe from. So, and this resulted in fewer people opting out from all of our lists, because they were able to select that, okay, I don't want to receive the offers and promotions anymore, but I still want to receive emails about events and resources. So yeah, in the question, yeah, you should use multiple lists and not one master list. It will be better in the long run. But this is one way how you can segment your subscribers. But within those lists, you can segment them further. And segmentation in this context means that you want to ensure that the right message is being sent to the right person at the right time. So, because this can result in increased open rates, increased general engagement, click-through rates, conversions will go up. Your unsubscribe rates will go down because all of your subscribers will receive like hyper-personalized emails. And because your engagement goes up and your unsubscribe rate goes down and fewer people will manually flag your emails as spam, then you will have a higher chance of avoiding the spam filter. So how you can segment your subscribers? Well, you have a few options. You can segment them based on their demographics or their behavior. So by demographics, you can segment them based on their gender, age, location, job title, or preferences. And this makes sense because just imagine that you will have like a live event next month and you want to send out an email blast to all of your subscribers. You don't want to send the same invitation to the live event to people living in different countries, right? You don't want to, if you are in a restaurant, you don't want to send an email introducing your senior discounts to people below the age of like 60. So you can segment and you should segment your subscribers based on their demographics, but you can also segment them based on their behavior. In most ESPs, you have their whole history of how they interacted with your brand. So you know what they purchase from you, you know what they are considering buying, by which websites and which landing pages they visit. You know what they click on, you know which emails they open, you know what resonates with them. So you can use all of this data to further tailor your communication to the individuals. And there is one other way how you can segment your users, and this way is based on their engagement level. And Brian also mentioned this in passing, but it's really important to understand that not all of your subscribers are engaged with your brand on the same level. So there will be people who only subscribed like years ago before a sweepstake you were running, and they even forgot that you existed. And you have your most loyal followers who open all of the emails, click on all the links, read your blogs, and just generally really highly engaged. Most ESPs have way to assign scores and points to subscribers based on their interaction with your email communications. And GetResponse also has this, but we also have our own scoring system. This is a built-in feature in GetResponse, and basically detects automatically the engagement level of each individual subscriber on a 1 to 5 scale, where 1 is the least engaged and 5 is the most engaged subscribers. But I mentioned that quality is more important than quantity when it comes to your email list size, and the same thing applies here. Even if you have like real valid email addresses in your database and you are past that step, it's still better on the long run to have like a smaller list size with highly engaged subscribers than to have like a larger list size with people who are not interested in your offers and your brand at all. So yeah, quality over quantity. When you know about a user, how engaged they are, you can further tailor your communications to them. So if someone is not engaged at all, you can consider running a reactivation campaign. And if they cannot be reactivated, maybe it's time to let them go. If someone is at risk of becoming unengaged, then it's time to ask them for their feedback. Send them a genuine email asking them about what you can do to improve their experience, what you can change to make them more engaged. If someone is neutral, then you can consider running A/B tests, for example. You can try finding out what makes them click, what is the content that they are really interested in, what is the content they subscribed on your email list for. And if someone is engaged, then you are doing good. But for your highly engaged subscribers, you should consider rewarding them somehow for their loyalty. You can ask them for testimonials. You can try to turn them into affiliates or brand ambassadors. So yeah, based on their engagement levels, you can segment these users and you can further tailor your communication to them. You can, but obviously you don't have to do this manually. So we are not expecting you to select one by one each of your subscribers based on their engagement level or their preferences. You can use automations to streamline this process. GetResponse has multiple automation templates, but there is 3 which are highly relevant for us. One is the basic tagging automation, which is a really simple automation that basically what it does is that throughout a series of emails, it tracks whether the recipient has clicked on any link within the email. And if after a while, in this particular example, if after 3 emails, they don't click on any link, then they get assigned the inactive tag. If they do, then they get assigned the active tag. So super simple, but helps you keep track of how people are interacting with your emails. We have one other one, which is the basic scoring automation, which is a bit more sophisticated. It basically, you can determine individual scoring points to each action. So you can create your own scoring system where, for example, if someone opens your email, that is worth like 10 points. If someone doesn't open it, you subtract 5 points from them. If someone clicks on a link, that is worth like 20 points. But if someone didn't open any email in the last 2 weeks, then they get subtracted 20 points. So you can create your own, based on your own individual use case, you can create your own automation based on this template, which helps you keep track of how subscribers interact with your newsletters. And when you have this solution in place, this automation, then you can use a simple list cleaning based on tags and scores. This particular automation, super simple, has basically 2 steps. The first is it checks whether certain subscriber has the inactive tag, or whether their or if their scoring points drop below a certain threshold. And if so, they get removed from your account, thereby automatically cleaning your list over time without you having to do anything with it. And we are almost at the end of our presentation, but I wanted to finish it off with some general best practices and advice on how you can be a good sender. The first rule, I hope that by now we don't have to stress this, but this is the golden rule. You always need to get permission from your recipients. No excuses, because if you send email campaigns to people who didn't opt in, then they will damage your reputation on the long run. And the second tip here is kind of in the same vein, that you shouldn't force people to provide their email addresses either. So I'm sure that you have all seen these like dark pattern pop-up boxes where the pop-up cannot be closed until you enter an email address. Don't do this because you will just get junk. If you use this is the third tip is for mainly for dedicated IP addresses, but if you use a dedicated IP address for your for sending out email blasts, then maybe it makes sense to separate your transactional and marketing communications. Maybe use two different IP addresses for that and two different emails, because if God forbid your marketing IP address gets put on a blacklist, then they will still receive your transactional emails like invoices and purchase confirmations from your other IP address. If you are using the same thing for both, then if you get flagged for spam, then maybe your legitimate customers won't receive their transactional emails. You should always watch your sending frequency. So try to stick to a schedule and listen to your subscribers. So if they don't want to receive too many emails, accommodate your sending frequency to them. Always test your emails before sending them out and keep track of your metrics. So you can improve your sending processes over time. And the last and maybe the hardest tip here is that you should learn to let go. So if someone is not engaged with your emails, if someone is not interested in your content and your offers, just remove them from your database, because over time they will do more damage than good to your brand. And this concludes our presentation. We have two really cool offers. The first is from GetResponse. You can get 15% off on all plans for the first year by using the promo code below. And Brian, I will let you do the ZeroBounce promotion.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, and great content, Matteo. I think it was really helpful and definitely useful. For ZeroBounce, we're offering 1,000 free validations for anyone with a ZeroBounce account, or come create an account. Just go to zerobounce.net. We have a live chat team and a phone number. Everyone is ready and able to add those validations for you, so you can get a feel. Or maybe you're small and 1,000 is all you have on your list today. Perfect. We'll validate them for free. And so you can go ahead and try us out and get a feel for it. But yeah, I'm definitely excited. There's been some really good questions in the chat here as well. I definitely appreciate all the really good thoughts here.
Yeah, and I think now it's time for some Q&A. So let me move to the Q&A question list. Brian, do you see the questions in the Q&A tab? I can't seem to access them.
Nope, I don't see anything. Just more on the chat side. But I think there's been some good questions. Maybe we can talk about things. Frequency came up. And one thing I just want to kind of take 1 minute on the validation side, because I don't know if I went deep into it enough, but just based on some of the feedback that I'm seeing here, and Mate, looking for the promo code, you want to pop that back up. You want to validate your emails as well, because you want to get rid of this bad data. And just remember that most everybody here, I'm almost 99% sure that your email address is your source, you're a unique identifier for your customer. It's not usually phone number, it's not usually address, it's usually email. And so you also want to make sure you're getting rid of that bad data, because you're bringing that data everywhere with you. So your CRM system, your email providers, all of this stuff, and you're really paying to store those contacts that are not even good anymore. And so there's immediate ROI there as well for anyone that's potentially thinking about it or has some old data and you want to clean it up. Basically, you're trimming the fat off. These are bad contacts at this point. We wouldn't tell you to remove it if it was a good contact.
Right. In the meantime, I managed to, yeah, what is the recommended
Oh,
sending
perfect.
frequency? So, well, this is one of those things where I cannot give you like an exact answer because every business is different. I heard stories where, like, the same sender was sending out like three emails one day, and this in for all intents and purposes this is something that you shouldn't do because the recommended daily sending limit is one email per person maximum. But for some reason, for this particular organization, it worked well. They were sending out lots of emails, um, lots of like bite-sized knowledge, and yeah, their open rates and click-through rates were super high. But for most of us, I think that sending out a couple of emails a week is more than enough. But you should also try to find out about your users, what they prefer, and you will see it in your analytics as well. So if you see that your open rates are like super low and you are sending a lot of emails, maybe try sending out a bit less during a week and see if your open rates increase. So yeah, this is like a trial and error thing, but once you have a like a working formula, try sticking to it.
I think also just to add here, I think consistency is key. And so if you are constantly sending on, Tuesdays, be consistent. You're also kind of building trust in the network of email where we're talking about all the providers. They're kind of expecting your email and this type of thing too. So consistency is key. And someone asked a question here, and I mentioned it on the chat. If you have a cafe or you have something, you have a daily clearance special, and that's your business, send an email daily. If people don't want it, they'll unsubscribe. So, you have to. I agree. You totally have to adapt this based on your business. There's no single answer for this. Put yourself in the other shoe. That's actually how I start to think a lot lately. Put yourself in the other shoe. How would you want to receive your content if you were maybe in the buying stage or in the existing customer stage? How would you want to receive this type of content?
Right.
Uh, it's a good question here. So, is it necessary to use an email verifying tool before uploading a new database to get response list? We usually use one. We use upload marked as okay, but then we upload get response. Some of the verified emails are not open. Mate, you want to take this, or
Yeah, sure.
you want me to?
Yeah, so basically, GetResponse has built-in solution that prunes your email list before it is imported. So, but to be 100% honest, I'm not really sure how it works. And I think it's a mystery for most people working at GetResponse. But yeah, so basically we do some like generic email list cleaning or email list pruning before you import it. But I am because this is just like one facet of GetResponse. We don't put as much resources into this into updating and researching this topic than ZeroBounce does, for example. So I'm 100% sure that ZeroBounce and any given list will catch some unverified email addresses that our built-in solution won't. And also, this only works for the first import when you are importing them into your database. But as Brian mentioned at the beginning of this webinar, you should do list cleaning regularly. So this shouldn't be like a one-off thing. This should be something that's part of your marketing process.
Yeah, and sorry, just to add here on the should you do it before you upload? So to me, it's absolutely yes, and I agree. And while GetResponse is trying to do a good job here, this is all we do. This is our core business. This is what we focus on. And for context, we're validating billions of emails per year, and so we see it all. We work in every country. We validate emails in every country. This is not an easy task, to be very honest, not at this scale and to do it very accurately, which is what we have really mastered. So you definitely want to do it, because not only is there invalid emails where it might bounce, so maybe they're using an existing bounce code from some other customer and saw that you have this email and they're going to prune it. There's the bad actors. That's another whole piece to this, that most people don't have that insight where we do. And so you want to, you really should do it. I think your ROI is immediate, especially when you get rid of some of these people. Again, you're not storing them in your CRM systems and doing all this other stuff. You're not sending to them anyway. So you definitely want to do it.
Question about email list segmentation. Should you have one master list that you build sublists or segments from? Well, so basically every time someone clicks on the unsubscribe button, they get shown all of the email list they are subscribed to. And if you only have one master list and you are using segmentation within that list, that can be fine for your sending. But if someone wants to unsubscribe because they are only on one master list, they can only unsubscribe from that one very list. And if they unsubscribe from your master list, then they won't receive your other email communications either, even if you use segmentation to send out the emails. I don't know if this makes sense, but generally speaking, you should try creating multiple email lists based on the type of content that you are using the email list for. So like have one list for your general like offers and promotions and marketing communications, have one list for like your weekly digest if you have one list for your article, one where you are sending the article updates from, or like your new blog posts. So try to identify the type of emails that you are sending out regularly and try to create like multiple lists from them. You don't go overboard, obviously. So don't create like 10 different email lists, but have like 3 or 4 where which you are using for separate purposes.
Agreed.
We have a huge amount of contacts that haven't been qualified yet. I don't see how we should be able to segment them. Well, Brian, do you want to do this or?
Yeah, and I think I actually started answering some of these as they were coming in, because there's so many questions. But for anybody who has a lot of, whether you acquire data or you've never emailed, but you've been collecting the data, there's always something. That is the way I look at this. You just have to dig deeper and deeper and deeper. Whether it's potentially you can get gender, maybe you can get location, maybe you can get maybe they selected an interest, or you see viewing history or a search keyword that they showed up with. If you have absolutely nothing, there's still a solution. And it's something that we've developed called activity data, which will give you, so when you validate through us, if we can find first name, last name, and gender, we will provide it back to you. It's not perfect, but if we can find it, we'll give it back to you. So you might be able to segment that way. And then secondly, we have a thing called activity data, where we have known engagement with that email address through many sending partners that we get data feeds in for. And if they've been active in the last 30, 60, 90, or 180 days, we will tell you that. This is qualified by an email being opened by this recipient, forwarded, unsubscribed, clicked, or used in a mobile application login. So like maybe a mobile app game, something of that nature. If that's in their database, we will get that over, and we will know that there's some activity on it. So you can segment by people you are active, that we know are active. And then again, I think there was another question, just kind of break down that list. Always start from your most highly engaged, best segment and work down, because that reputation will carry along with it. And so obviously the worst, I don't know how to say this, I don't want to sound offensive, but the worst piece of your segment, right? The last and kind of the bottom bucket, you want to at least try to reap the benefits of all the good stuff that happen in those better segments and the better engagement.
Exactly. Yeah. Louis is asking if is it okay to use a low engaged as a characteristic to erase the emails when you clean the database? Yes, you can use the GetResponse scoring system to remove the not engaged subscribers from your lists. But before getting rid of them, you can consider trying to reactivate them by a reactivation campaign. If I have the same contact on multiple lists, are they still considered unique contact, or will they be double counted? To my understanding, they are counted as many times as the same person is on separate lists. Michal, can you please confirm this for me? I think, yeah, I think the same person counts double when they are on two lists. Use it mainly as an affiliate marketing business. Is keeping everything on one list all right? Well, I mean, it depends on your specific use case. So if you have only one kind of marketing communications, then yes, maybe having only one list makes sense to you. But generally speaking, you should try segmenting your communications. I'm just looking through the. Oh, we have a ZeroBounce question.
Yeah, so how can I schedule a time? So we have many ways to get in contact with us on our website. There is, you can schedule a demo right on our website if you go to the contact section. There's also a live chat feature on the bottom right. You can contact them. Those are 24-hour, by the way, we're 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, live people, not robots, not outsourced people, our employees, everything about our product are available to help you. And then also we have a phone number. We have a Europe number, and we also have a US number, toll free. You're welcome to call as well, and we're happy to discuss anything. Yeah, we can definitely help you.
We have a question here. If validate the database one time is enough, or you need to validate again months or years after?
So this is a good question. I hear it a lot, and the best way that I think about this is, by all means, you need ground zero. You have to go validate whatever you have, right? So once you have validated that, my answer to be generic is yes, you want to be doing this probably every 6 months. That's the most generic form that I can give you. If you're very specific, you have a large database and you're very kind of in touch with it, we can take that further. There's the business emails, like business domains, the zerobounce.net emails, the getresponse.com emails. These tend to churn faster than an AOL email address, a Yahoo, a Gmail. Those are generally personal accounts, and these are people that, their job does not dictate the email address. Those generally will live a little bit longer, and so you can maybe segment those out and do that. I would do no less than, so I would do everything at least once per year. If it's business domains, I would be looking in the 3 to 6 month range, but also I'd be looking at your bounce rate. If your bounce rate's high, something's off. So for example, we've seen people, they're going into these lead providers, just smashing keys and downloading data, and that business closed, and they're sending emails to them. I'm seeing this all the time. It's coming to us. Hey, I've got 10% delivered rates. I'm getting kicked off my ESP. Guys, you can't, I will just say this. Do not trust any data that you did not acquire firsthand through a very good, clean process. If you acquired it, you scraped it, you got it from some other company, you have to go clean that. So yes, I absolutely recommend it. And again, the ROI is always there, because why do you want to keep these people if they're not worthy of a good communication? It's just going to bounce, and then you don't have anything anyway. So yes.
I think we still have time for two more questions.
Let's do it.
One of them is I actually seen multiple questions regarding the best sending times, or when you should be sending emails. We actually have a quite interesting resource on this called the email benchmarks. And this is a report made by GetResponse, where we try to identify key patterns among different aspects of email campaigns and newsletters. We have data on open rates, click-through rates, the best sending times, when you should, whether you should be using emojis or not, how you can personalize your emails, how it affects your open or click-through rates. So I think my colleague Michal can send this in the chat. But yeah, if you have the time, you can head over to the GetResponse platform and find the email marketing benchmarks because it's a really useful resource, and it has some really interesting data on sending times. And we have one last question. Is if you have been banned from GetResponse previously, would you be able to re-upload the verified contacts after you have verified them through ZeroBounce? I think you will be able to upload them. I'm not the one making this decision, but just reach out to our support, and I'm sure that they will be able to help you out. And I think we have pretty much answered all the questions here. So yeah, once again, you can use our promo code for 15% off, or you can get 1,000 free validations with your newly created ZeroBounce account. Thank you very much for joining us today. I'm really glad that you were here, and thank you, Brian, for hosting this webinar with me.
Thank you. It was a pleasure, and I hope we gave some good content to people. Sounds like the questions were really good, and people are engaging. So happy selling, everyone. Happy emailing, and get into that inbox.
Have a nice day, everyone. Goodbye.
Bye.